All right. So it's showing up live on your LinkedIn stream. So life is good. We're
Yeah,
going to go
cool.
live on Amazon in just a moment here. It takes
Uh,
a moment for it to catch up. Okay, we are live on Amazon. We've got Scott R. Weaver, MBA. He's also an electrical engineer, and he's written a new book, the Business Owner's GPS series, Your Destination: Define Your Company's Vision and Profits for Fulfillment. So we've got that image right there on the screen. If you are watching somewhere other than Amazon Live, come over to Amazon.com, hit live, and come on over and see us. You can ask questions there with Scott. But let's put this banner away and welcome, Scott.
Oh, welcome. Thank you. Glad to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah, congratulations on the book.
Oh, thank you. Yep. A lot of, as you know, it's a lot of work to get one of those things out, and there's always
And a lot of
challenges.
hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just note for folks in the carousel, we've got your book here on Amazon, so they can just click and add to cart. We also have the Arise to Live podcast, which you've been doing for quite a few years. You hit some milestone numbers, and just for fun, we've got some items in the carousel also that we use as tools for broadcasting. We've got the Shure microphone you use, the Electro Voice microphone that I've got, and I'll just take a moment for folks and note that there's a 20% off. It's $100 off on the Shure SM7B from $499 to $399, which is a killer deal. So these are the in the carousel, and the RE20, the combination there is all there. So we'll give a little demonstration on that in a bit. But first of all, Scott, you're in Franklin, Tennessee, but we used to live in the same community, and we actually met when we were coaching businesses through the Clean Tech Open, which is the world's largest clean technology accelerator. We met in the heart of Silicon Valley, and I don't even remember how many years ago that was.
Oh, it's been a while, definitely. Yeah, it's funny. We had to travel all the way to San Francisco just to meet when we're like 15 minutes away drive. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's have everyone. Let's have folks learn more about you. Just get your background and what brought you to the point where you wanted to capture some knowledge in a book.
oh wow. Well, if we start way at the beginning, we'll be here all night. But so basically, I had an engineering career that was pretty good. But after a while, I just wanted to try the business side of things, and went back, got an MBA. And coming out of my MBA program, I was a CEO of a university spin out at Oregon State University, and learned a lot of things there. In fact, the company's still going. I'm not the CEO anymore, but the fact that it's been well over 12, 13 years and the company's still going. So I like to think I did something right at the beginning. Um, and then after that stint, I went into consulting, particularly on you might say the financial strategy side, connecting
Hmm.
the numbers with performance. I've been doing that since late 2011. And one thing, it's kind of a frustration and a weakness I've noticed a lot of business owners that, they'll come to me and they ask me, go fix this, Scott, please fix this. I said, okay, where do you want to go? Where are we going? What are we doing here? It's like, I don't know, just fix it. Improve cash flow, reduce expenses, increase revenue, whatever. And it just, it's like saying, hey, I just want to go someplace. And you don't know if you are on a I don't know, Indy racetrack, or you're four-wheel driving out in the mountains. It's kind of important. Otherwise, you can't pick the right vehicle to go there.
Hmm.
And so over and over, I would ask where you want to go. Business owners were not even sure, or they can't articulate it very well. And then it's really difficult to actually come up with a real good business solution without knowing that. And so this book has been in the works probably for 5 or 6 years in different forms. It just started out with me just writing a one page and how to do it. I've done multiple podcasts on this, read multiple books on it. I even had a class in my MBA on it. And somewhere along the line, it's just there's this disconnect between what's in the entrepreneur, the business owner's heart, and what the company is actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of books on vision. There's a lot of books on business planning, but very few actually able to put them together so that they're just everybody's going in the same direction, including the owner. So,
Right. This is it's funny because very early on in your book, you talk about this fuzzy vision, and I remember now we're surrounded by LCD monitors today. Everyone's got laptops, they're on our phones, our desks. We've got big screens, wide screens, ultimate, whatever, and they're all LCD or LED screens. But back in the days when I was first working at Hewlett Packard and running crews there, we all had those big CRTs, cathode ray tube screens.
Big heavy ones.
Oh, they were heavy. They were hot because they used a lot of energy, so they create a lot of heat. But one of the things is those images had the pixels, if we will, the little dots on the screen had fuzzy edges compared to the screens that we use today, where all those little dots have very clean edges. And I remember talking to my eye doctor, and he was saying the reason why your eyes get tired is because when you're looking at the screen for all those hours all day long and all those edges are fuzzy, your brain thinks they're out of focus. And so
constantly trying to sharpen it.
You need to use you need to upgrade the screen to the flat panel back in the day. And this is what I was thinking of as I was reading your book, and it got to that part, and we're talking about this fuzzy vision. That fuzzy vision is going to actually wear you out faster than if you have a clear definition. And you have some pretty good examples of that in the book. And also tell people that this isn't just a book of theory, and you're clear about that at the beginning. There's a lot of stuff to work through, and there's actually a link, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in there later, where people can download helpful information. But let's talk about what it means to have clarity of vision.
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. The
Without giving it away, I mean, it's in the book, of course.
Yeah. Well, the example I used in the book was just imagine you're driving at nighttime and your windshield is all muddy and there's all bugs, all of that, and you're going in a place you haven't gone before. Your eyes are straining, your brain is really focusing on making sure you actually get there. And so when a business owner is trying to see through the bugs and the mud that's on the windshield for where they want to go, they spend a lot of energy, a lot of mental power trying to just stay on the road as opposed to actually getting where you want to go. And then by the time, if they do reach there, they're so worn out, either don't recognize it or they just don't enjoy the reaching the finish line. So that's where the clarity comes in. And a lot of the clarity is it's kind of like notions, hopes, and desires, and really getting those out of a person, out of the business owner. So they're articulated, they're written down. They don't need to be perfect or anything like that, but just that other people can see it, and the business owner can see that right there too. And when that happens, when you get that clarity, other people can see it, a lot of good things happen. The book goes in, especially the last chapter, talks a lot about communicating the vision to the employees, to the team, so that they are actually working with you to accomplish the goals, the personal vision of the owner, and the company goals. So you have three major elements of a business, all in sync, all going in the same direction and not tripping over each other. So it'd be the business owner, what's inside their heart, where they want to go. And it's the same as the business. The business is not running them. The owner's running the business. And the employees are not in the way. They're actually helping getting there. And so that gets into a major purpose of the book, a major purpose of getting to clarity, understanding what a
Mhm.
vision is, getting the clarity so that you can align all three of those things to get to where you want to go.
So let's stop there for the moment and let's define what is a vision. Because I mean, there's lots of different understandings of vision. You know, it's just the technical thing that I can see. I have vision. I can see things. Um, some dream at night, and I had a vision revealed to me. But in the context of the business of this business owner, and you also make a distinction, or say that there isn't a distinction. We need to also have a vision for our personal life.
Yeah.
So whether you're a business owner or you're just uh, not a business owner, uh, fortunate for you if you're not, maybe. But what is vision? How do we define that in this sense?
Well, I think at the very, very basic. So in the book, I talk about the soft stuff drives the hard things quite a bit. So a vision is this gut feeling that you need to be doing something. You need to be doing this thing, and not that thing. You need to be doing this thing, and it comes from inside, whether it's the inner sight or the gut feeling or just a notion. This needs to be done. This
Mhm.
is where I need to go. This is where the company needs to go. And that's what the vision is. Um, and inside a business owner's mind, they think they know they got it clear. They think they
Mhm.
can translate those that gut feeling of what they should be doing. They think they can translate it into actionable actions and progress. But usually there's a disconnect because it is fuzzy and it is really soft. And getting it out, chapter 3 in my book goes into the how to get it out,
Mhm.
and there's a whole bunch of things: values, the situation you're in, even the season of life, all impact what how you defined where you're going to go. But it all goes back into the basic vision. There's entrepreneurs who are saying, this is a problem in society, and I'll just, this needs to be done. I think I can build houses better. I think I can manufacture something better and cheaper. And it just becomes, how do you articulate that into a business?
Mhm.
But without that, it's, yeah,
Is
you don't go
and I was
anywhere.
thinking, without revealing too much, I mean, you have a pretty good example in the book of a business owner that wanted to have a beach house,
Yeah.
and that sounds like a pretty clear vision,
Hmm.
but you actually put some math to it so that
Hmm.
it wasn't just, keep flailing around and hope someday I have a beach house.
No.
It was a very defined. They found a particular spot, found some
Mhm.
pricing, and then you started with a. You actually have a grid in there that
Yes.
starts with that end state.
Well, that's the translation from the dream, the personal dream, to the business and the destination, because the company is actually a vehicle to get you somewhere. And so the example is a business owner who was frustrated with the business. He just felt the business was running him, not the other way around. And he wanted me to go fix it. I was like, what am I fixing here? What do you want? What are these numbers? And he just like, business is business, personal is personal. And he dived down a little bit deeper and he found out, well, in retirement, he wanted the beach house
Mhm.
for his family. He wanted to enjoy a lot of the work, and he expected the business to pay for it. And the frustration he had was the business was not paying for it at
Mm.
the time. And all of a sudden now, if it's not paying for it, what is it? That is where you have to articulate how much money a business has to earn in the profits to pay for, the beach house front. Um, and that was the missing link for this business owner in the example. And it gets it's what the is it's the premise of the book. You got to
Mhm.
have a destination that the company's going to that matches the personal vision, personal goals of the business owner.
And so that translated down to some very specific numbers that they
Yes.
needed to increase their
Mhm.
sales. And
Yeah.
so now it becomes very actionable. So you can say, oh, if I need to raise my sales by, and let's just pick a number. Let's just say you want to raise your sales by $100,000, and every client is uh, $10,000. That's pretty simple math to know what you need to do.
Yes.
And if your sales team knows what their close rate is and all this, I mean, the math becomes pretty simple once you've been very specific about designing what kind of goal you want to have.
Yeah, and it gets into, title of the book is Your Destination. And
Mhm.
in this particular case, the business owner wanted, and I think the example you used was, yeah, the property was $1.2 million. The owner had at least 20 years to before he would actually buy it or retire. And then you start dividing the math down, figured out it was about 75,000 in extra free cash flow after everything
Mhm.
else is paid, including salary. Then from there, what does it take for the business to increase? Um, and then I go into quite detail into that example as to walk through the business owner on getting to that real hardcore number that is
Mhm.
achievable, believable, and all the employees in the company can get on board. So you actually reach the GPS destination.
And that's what's great about the book is that you have it's 9 steps, right?
Yes.
9 steps. Yeah, there's 9 steps, and you actually have like fill in the blanks. So I could just go through, and I'll just tell you, we were talking earlier that I'm going to run this for an organization that we have that's a startup,
Mhm.
and I'm going to go. I'm going to take and fill these 9 steps out because we're very early in this process, and creating that clear vision that we can share with everybody.
Mhm.
I see the value in it, but I love that you've got these. Oh, here's step one, and then here's the things. But you don't just leave it with that. You actually then give examples of what I can fill in there. So I have a starter pack.
Yes. Yeah, I guess. But that gets into one of my pet peeves because along the line there's so much information on vision casting, creating the
Mhm.
vision, setting the goals for the company. And they're all targeted for corporations, CEO of corporations or a CFO of a corporation. And they can afford to take a week off. There's a lot of Mark Zuckerberg when he wrote the Facebook, I think it was like 7 days straight. He was able to get away, work on everything. Bill Gates once a year when he was running Microsoft took a full week off. But for most small business owners, most
Mhm.
of us, the business we're helping the business run. We don't have time. And the other part is all those books are expecting the corporate language, expecting an MBA and all that. And the vast majority of business owners don't have much college education.
Mhm.
And you start looking back at the history of the most successful business, it's not really needed.
Right.
Um, so the book is to translate the advantages that corporate CEOs have and bring it into an everyday business owner who's trying to grow the business, trying to be successful, and trying to just get everything working together.
Yeah, that's getting that team in. And I know I'll jump into the end at the moment. But getting that team online or on
Mhm.
board with that vision and understanding that what they're doing is bringing us closer to that
Yeah.
is important. And I love that you end with communication, but I want to jump back to these steps
Mhm.
because when I look at it, that it seems daunting. Oh, 9 steps, and you kind of thumb through the book, and I look at these things, but the process that you have is actually pretty methodical. And
Mhm.
I'm thinking that an existing company with a small team of in the leadership could maybe get a facilitator and do it in their conference room over a day, or maybe do an offsite retreat and focus on this. But the process that you have is fairly methodical. It looks like an engineer wrote it.
Yes. Yep. It was uh, that came through, but it's you want something repeatable
Hmm.
for it because it's not a one and done. because a lot of businesses will grow in 5 years. They'll have to go, they grown, or the economy changes. I don't know, or a pandemic or inflation comes around, they have to make adjustments. You could just do the same thing again. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And
Mhm.
that was a big thing. And the steps are divided up into, it's four in one way and five. And it starts out, what are the personal goals? What is the values? What values that you have? And and a lot of times there's businesses that pride themselves on quality,
Mhm.
and other ones pride themselves on customer service, on-time delivery, and those are okay. It's just identifying, once again, getting at those out. And the other one, the personal side, there has been quite a few studies, and there's one from Harvard Business Review wrote, I think it was 1965, long time ago, and said that when the core values is a mismatch for the job, this is a
Mhm.
corporate setting again, there is inherent conflict, and the person will self-destruct.
Oh, wow.
Not maybe not intentionally, but
Yeah.
because they don't believe what they're doing,
Mhm.
they kind of self sabotage them. And it's one thing, to do that at a job where if you get fired, you can pick up another one, but it's a completely different level when a business owner is responsible for, I don't know, say 15, 20 employees
Mhm.
and their livelihood and their whole work. And sometimes if they, inherited or they bought it from their parents, that is a lot of investment. And if the values and the desires don't match what the company's doing, that has to be resolved so that everything is in harmony and reach the goals. And when that unified between the company and the owners there, the employees catch on, they see it, and it just makes managing people so much easier.
Mhm.
So
In the book, you had a pretty good definition too, a differentiation between vision and mission, and that the vision is really it's what you're doing. It's that end state. What does it look like when you get
yes.
there?
Mhm.
But then the mission really is that why you're doing these things.
Right. Yeah. So one is the where you are going. That's usually the
Mhm.
vision. What destination are you driving to? Which is why the book is called GPS
Yeah.
destination, in the series. But the other one is the mission, is the purpose, or why are you doing that? And a lot of people
Mm.
get those mixed up. So they have this
Yes.
great why, but nobody knows where they're going. Or sometimes the owner says we're going to do this, and nobody knows why, and
Mhm.
then there's all this frustration because nobody knows what was really going on. So you need
Right.
actually both. But I still think if you don't have a destination, yeah, you won't get where you want to go. And that's the purpose of the book.
Yeah, I was thinking as I was reading through this, and we were going through what the definition of vision is, and a fuzzy vision versus the clarity of vision. I was thinking back to my economics professor in college, Dr. Thomas Bible. I remember him telling us he didn't like money, but he liked what money can do. And
Mhm.
so many people set a goal that's very fuzzy that says, "I want to be rich."
Yes.
And whatever that means, right? And but if they were to clarify it, like your client that wanted to buy the beach house, the lake
Mhm.
house, it was very clear. I want to have a house that I retire in with my grandkids, and I can do these things on the water. I mean, it
Mhm.
was a very clear vision of what it looked like,
Yeah.
as opposed to saying, "Well, I just want to have a lot
I
of
want
money."
more revenues, or I want to beat the competition.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Or, oh wait, my competitor drives this car. Maybe I'm still, driving my old 20-year
Yeah.
old Toyota. I better get a
So you
new car.
didn't.
It's like those are
Yeah.
fuzzy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so you really, as I said, I don't like money, I just like what money can do,
Yeah.
and so in this case, what it could do was, create this retirement lifestyle
Mhm. Mhm.
that the business owner was looking for, and so, not everybody is an end state like that.
No, I'll
But
give you another example. This
yeah.
isn't in the book. It's, I guess, bonus material. So I've worked with several business owners who um, bought it from. bought the company from their parents.
Uh-huh.
And then they realized, wait, I don't like working day-to-day stuff. My dad loved it. I hate it. I want to hire a general manager, and I only want to work in the company, uh, you know, 2, 3 days a week, and I'm going to spend the other stuff on my other ideas. So all of a sudden, the goal is how does grow the company to pay
Mm.
for a general manager, and so that usually adds on 150,000 to free cash flow to make that happen. But once again, it's identified, it's clear. Now you know what the
Mhm.
business needs to do, and then you start working towards that.
And now
Um,
you can break it down again into the goals for the sales folks, for the production team. They know what they're
yeah.
doing specifically.
Mhm.
Say we want to get 10 new clients every month. We want to produce so many more units and reduce our
Mhm.
um, scrap rate or something like that.
Oh yeah. So
Exactly.
improve processes and stuff. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, that's where the fuzziness comes in, because if we are not crystal clear on what direction we're going to, what what goals we're trying to do, somebody else will come in and tell us. And whether that's the general society or peer pressure, or oh, successful business owners have these three factors, and it's like, oh, I only have one of them, I better get the other two. And without any consideration, is that the right thing for you? And and then 5 years down the road, after all this work, found out those three success were for a different industry than the one you're in. um, that's
Right.
those are, you got to be really careful if you're not really have that clear focus that's going through. um, yeah, I could go on and on. It just makes me sad, frustrated when I see the disconnect, and in
Mhm.
employees not doing what they're supposed to do, and then you ask them what they're supposed to do and they don't know, and then
Yeah.
it becomes a communication, and they ask, well, how come you haven't communicated this? And then they tell you, the business owner tell me, because a
Mhm.
consultant, and it says, well, that's not what you said 2 weeks ago. What is it? Is it A or is it B? I mean, what are you trying to
Right.
do here? And then things become pretty obvious why
Yeah.
things are working on the surface but broken underneath.
When we look at the stock market, a lot of times prices will drop or go up, and we don't know why. But a lot of times we'll hear the analysts say that the stock market, as if it was alive, the stock market doesn't like uncertainty.
Mhm.
And so when there's uncertainty, like whether or not the government is going to pass this bill or that, or maybe there's going to be some military thing going on, or some natural event is going to cause disruption in shipping lanes or something,
Yep, supply
you'll
chain
see the
issues.
stock prices go down because it's uncertainty. But we see the same thing with employees.
Mhm.
So if our staff, if the people that we depend on to do the work are uncertain,
Mhm.
then productivity is going to drop, morale is going to drop,
Mhm.
and you have a higher probability that those people are going to leave and find someplace else to work.
Mhm. Yep. And then we're on the this book, even though it's a kind of vision casting and trying to align the owner's vision with the company, and so that they're going the same direction. It's actually touching on a lot of leadership aspects of it,
Hmm.
because with leadership is vision is required for leadership, but leadership is required for to carry out the vision. But in a lot of places, that is not it's not so black and white, not so clear. You have to step back and say, well, wait, as a business owner, I just need to do what I know I should be doing. And I've already figured out a lot of the things. I've worked out the personal side. Now I know where the goal is. I just need to do it.
Hmm.
And and that action of just going out and doing what they know they should be doing, the fancy word, corporate America would call that leadership. The rest of us call it just getting the job done. But when that happens, the employees will respect that. And then you really know that you're on board, where the employees are all in agreement on the direction, and they
Hmm.
start arguing and coming up with different ideas on how to do it. And so the business owner, you need to step back and not get hung up on the how. Let the
Right.
employees use their expertise. Just make sure that the destination and and if you can get that where you're not worrying about the how the employees are doing it, you're just worrying about getting there. Oh, the stress is,
Yeah.
and then the rewards just go up
I'm going to put this
exponentially.
up here for a moment and remind everybody we're talking with Scott Weaver here on Amazon Live. If you're watching anywhere else, come on over to amazon.com/live and you can find the broadcast there. The benefit of being on Amazon Live with us is you can type in questions and Scott can address those directly. And also, the book is available. You can just click it, it's in the carousel right below the video, as well as the Arise to Live podcast and some techie things because Scott and I both are,
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to say it, techno snobs, but we definitely appreciate having good quality equipment to do the work. But
Well, we didn't
um,
start out with the top of the line. We worked our way up.
yeah,
So
yeah, actually, yeah, absolutely. But
we learned a lot in the process. So,
in the book, and I want people to buy the book because you have a link to some resources there, as I mentioned that
mhm.
they're in the book itself. And this is right now it's an ebook, but uh, the the paper version is coming out soon. But right now it's an ebook, a Kindle book, and there's things to fill out in there, and it'll help us form the vision, the reasons and the formulation and the implementation. But you have a workbook that people can download from your website, and the link is right there in the book. And the Kindle
Yeah.
is cool because you just touch it and it opens up, and then I can download that. Tell us a little bit about the workbook, about this resource that people get is included in part as part of the book price.
Oh yeah, yeah. So once again, the practical side of me and trying to really help out the readers and business owners the best I can. So it's a PDF um, fillable. It's fillable PDF. It's about 24, 25 pages long, and it goes through all the 9 steps in a little bit more detail than in the book, so that you can just either type it in or you just print it out, and so they can actually have something physically to work on
Hmm.
and go through different revs and thinking and there is something about having the book on hand and then actually have a workbook with it that really can get you going and going well and really figuring out stuff much more quickly than just one or the other.
Yeah.
I actually had the workbook for like 2 or 3 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and I ended up explaining myself too much. So, okay, let's get a book with it. So,
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So just tell everyone get the book. So if you are anywhere, whether it's just your personal life, if you are leading a department, you're working in a department as an individual contributor, or you own a business, you need to have the vision. You need to understand, and this is Scott's book is a great resource for that. I was privileged because I got the advanced copy and was able to write a little endorsement in the front of that book as well. So
yeah. Oh, thank you.
that's a privilege on my side.
Mhm.
And I just want to talk a little bit too about we've mentioned the podcast, and I've got it highlighted in the carousel. People can subscribe to the Rise to Live podcast. And you've been doing this for a number of years and hit some milestone episodes too.
Yeah, let's see. I think last one is 172. Um, I'm going through different level of quality. I started off just kind of not knowing what I'm doing, but on the other hand, I had great interview people who made up for it, more than made up with it, and you're one of the early ones too, um, and doing that. But but one thing in the podcast, when you talk to a lot of people and you have to sit down and figure out, you have to work out the details on whether something's going to work or not.
Hmm.
And once again, there's multiple episodes on vision and vision casting that I've done. A lot of those went into the book, kind of condensing in the book, and other stuff, I left out because didn't want the book to be too long. It was supposed to be a fast read. But yeah, so you listeners out there, viewers out there, definitely check out the podcast. It's free. There's on the arise-to-live.com/podcast. There's a search. So you just type in the word vision, and all of the vision episodes will pop up, and then you just enjoy. So.
Yeah, and this way you can get. It's a good companion to the book, I think, to be able to get that and really get your head around the both this integration of our business and our personal, and so and how. And I always love the vision that you had that said it's not either or. It's not work life balance. It's work and life, and both have to be successful.
Yep, both have to thrive, just not survive.
Yeah. Now, so the podcast has been going for a while. People can search through, subscribe to it right here, and then check out the episodes. Great when you're in the car. Just get your brain thinking about all these different aspects of the business, and read the book, because the 9 steps, again, it's written by an engineer with a business education, and having led companies, as you were talking about, this tech transfer startup that is still going, and that's amazing for any kind of a startup. So,
and then I've worked with hundreds of different business owners from multiple, just understanding where they're coming from, what are some of the common things,
Right.
Especially in the manufacturing area, and when you get through and you're linking, the CFO stuff, the financials, to actually business operation, especially in a manufacturing setup, there's a lot of subtleties that come up, and that's where the experience comes in, and able to pull a lot of different areas together. And in the book, I've captured a lot of different areas. So I interviewed a common friend and mentor, Peter Burke. I think he's 88 years old now or something. I've learned so much from him. But some of his concepts are in the book, but I can't highlight exactly which ones because they just kind of blend right into the vision stuff. So I've able to capture a lot of wisdom from our mentors, my mentors along the way, and fold it into the experience I had with directly working with business owners on the financial side. So it's more than just crank out numbers. There's this is to get a business owner to really be successful. And that's my hope and dream for people reading this book.
And that's what I liked about that's what I love about the podcast is that you do have some great guests like Peter Burke, and be able to just get into his brain. He's got so much experience and has seen so many transitions, but he's been able to distill these down into the essence of items that don't change. So although he's been doing it for years, you go, oh yeah, that's the way it was. Turns out the way it was is also the way it is. So the pandemic, there are themes that we can find in there, and we can find those when we listen to some of the folks like Peter Burke in your podcast. So I just again want to encourage people to subscribe to that. So let's go back to the book. So we talked about this fuzzy vision, talked about these 9 steps, and that really brings people on board. We talk about communication. That's really where you wind the book up. And I want to go back to this business owner. So if his vision is a lake house, and now you've worked it back to, okay, this is what it's going to cost. Here's what you have to do. I don't think that that's necessarily the right motivating communication to talk to your
not for employees.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. How do you translate this?
And so this is one of the tricky things. And this is hopefully not sound too too blunt or arrogant, but this is a differentiator in my book. Most
Hmm.
books stop after somebody writes down the vision. That would be step 8. That's even if they do the other stuff too. But step 9 is actually one of the most important stuff, in which is communicating to employees. And I spent a full chapter on this. And obviously, no manager or employee wants to hear, "Oh, I'm working really hard just to to get some goodies for the word," because, be honest, most employees don't understand how hard a business owner works, and
Hmm.
why they should be rewarded the way they do.
Right.
But then it becomes the responsibility to get that company destination, that company GPS destination. Once that's
Hmm.
figured out, it needs to be plugged into the company. It needs to be plugged into the employees. And in the book, last chapter, I talk about 3 talking points on to present that out. And so the first one is you create this shared vision for the company. It's not the personal vision, it's the destination of the company. So we talked about the owner wanting the beach house and needed X amount of dollars free cash flow. Well, you start working back. Well, if you need cash flow, that's extra expenses. So we needed to have to grow the company, $150,000 a year for the next, yeah. And then once to get on track, well, what does that look like? Well, the example I gave is, well, they needed a new product line. They couldn't do it with the existing one. And to get a new product line means, well, we have to buy new equipment.
Hmm.
And in my example I had, they had cranky engineers on the equipment, and so they had to deal with that. But all of a sudden it's like, well, we need to get to this goal here, and we're getting new equipment. All of a sudden now the employees are now focused on the problem of making it
Mm.
happen. Focused on the
Okay.
problem. How do we get a new piece of equipment to run 2 product lines instead of just one? And then the sales team has to be on board too. How do they maintain the sales support, the sales on the existing product line when you're adding another one? So that becomes a shared problem about it. And so, you know, the owner's greatly responsible, almost totally responsible for the end point, the final destination of the company, and plug that into. But after that, there's a little stepping back, let the employees do their expertise, let them figure out the problem on how to get there. It doesn't mean you let them go, hog wild on whatever they want. I mean, you still have to, you know, keep them keep them on track. But the owner's not responsible for figuring out everything out. That's the shared problem part. And then
Mm.
the final one is whenever there's change is big. People don't like change. Employees don't like change. And you have to treat, from the employee standpoint, the change, you need to be respectful of that. And if there's big change, the example I used in the book was the equipment that they've figured out, they've been using for 15, 20 years. It is their workhorse. It works. They've got it down. That thing has to go because they can't
Mm.
do one product line. We have to have 2. Okay, huge train. The communication is, we will be dropping this into story, but we're going to take the investment. We're going to do training. We're going to do this. We need your help. And this, because we are going here. When that is part of that sharing the vision, sharing um, the goal, and sharing the burden from the owner to the employees, can really get employees engaged.
Mm.
Easy to say, hard to do, but it's worth the effort.
I was thinking back to when I was running an upholstered furniture manufacturer. We had a supply chain issue, and so um, there was a portion of the line that wasn't going to get supplies, and so we couldn't move beyond that point. And so we shared with the production staff what was going on, and between them, they came up with the solution. And it was very elegant, much better than if we just said, well, this part of the line is going to shut down. So everybody stops and goes home. So they actually came together and were able to do some staging of subcomponents. And they were big physical items because it's upholstered furniture. And they just set up this really elegant process and line. And then when our supply chain re-engaged, they had a process.
Mhm.
And it was I was thinking about this shared problem and networking those supercomputers between the years, right? Those
Yes.
folks that you have working for you are smart people. They know what to do if you communicate where we need to be.
Yeah.
And that shared problem is
Mhm.
that's just a fabulous. That's worth the price of the book right there, Scott.
Mhm. Well, your example is a perfect one of correctly communicating. And it's like the managers, and it's like, well, we're kind of a what's in. We just think we just had this. We're just going to have to shut this thing down.
Hmm.
And then wait, the employees go, no, you're not seeing the whole picture here. We have something better. That is a really good communication and letting the employees do what they do.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So it was kind of fun for me to go through down memory lane
Yes.
where the employees did just a fabulous job. It was just
Well, I've
I
been on
actually
both
remember.
sides of it. I've been the employee and I've been the manager and the owner. So I've seen, been on both sides of that. So,
Yeah, I just remember touring the owner out there and some other folks to go, look, here was the problem, but look what the folks have done to do
mhm.
this, right? And they appreciate it too, knowing that the owner was there to take a look and give them appreciation, acknowledgement. This is an important part of the communication is that
Mhm. Yeah.
validation that you hear what they're saying and not be too closed in your and that brings us up to as we're kind of winding time here. I want to bring this down to this point here, uh, and we're going back to the middle of the book a little bit about ego.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about ego as the
Uh,
business owner and what that how that impacts
uh,
this whole process of the your business GPS.
you mean something like ego can stop your vision cold?
I think that's tweetable, Scott.
Yeah, it was. So pride and ego are basically the enemies of getting the company where you want to go.
Mm,
Um, but it's so easy. I mean, and you have to separate different types of pride. I don't know. I might be splitting hairs here, but there's a pride of doing something well done. There's a pride of, hey, I produced this widget. I know it works. I don't even have to look at it because I know my employees in the process will do it right. I am really proud of that. I'm proud of the company. I'm proud of the employees I have and the work that I've done and the results of that. There's also the self egotistic. Look what I've done. I've created this and I've
mm,
created
mhm,
that and I did all that. And then all of a sudden the people that got you where you are left behind. And now you want to have a new vision. You're setting a new destination for the company and you want to get there, but it's all about you and the team has just abandoned you. So it can
mhm,
really stop. I mean, you can stop your progress code. And also the ego, the self ego
mhm,
pride thing. It's a self limiting belief, and it's a belief that you have to do everything your own, or you're smarter than
mm,
everybody, and you know everything. Well, that puts you on the same level as God, and most of us are not. So
that's right.
yeah. And so just having a little humility and sucking it up. You
Mhm,
don't have to like it. That's the example in the later book where the employees were criticizing the bad ideas on the how so they can get to where you want to go. And it's like, okay, the
mhm,
employees came up with something better. But I, it's really hard to put in words, but it is a fine line of being really good at what you do and taking care of everything and um, thinking you did it all yourself and letting it go to
mm,
your head and not appreciating the things. And so that is one of the things preventing clarity of vision. So if you think that you're responsible to solve every problem in your company, well, you're limited by yourself because you don't have the 10,000 hours on a piece of equipment that some your experienced employees might have, or you don't have the 5 years experience of sales
Mm-hmm.
in the industry. You know what they're doing. You probably could do
Right.
what they do. But you can't be at the same levels there because you're not doing it every day. And if you get too eagle, if you go to your head and think that you can do just as well as all these people, you can be on the manufacturing floor, do just as good as people who do that full time, just as good as full time. Yeah, that limits the owner tremendously, and it limits the company. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um,
Well, as we're going to wind down here, Scott, and then I want to get into, I want to play around with some of the tech here, but
okay.
it, your business, the business owner's GPS series, your destination, define your company's vision for profits and fulfillment. Scott R. Weaver, MBA, author, a brand new book available out on Kindle with a link to some content to download, the workbook that is a fillable PDF so people can fill that in, print it off. I recommend uh, maybe doing a little retreat, either a day retreat or an offsite retreat for the leadership in your company. Maybe that leadership is you. I know I plan on doing this for a new organization that we have, a brand new startup, and we've got work to do on the vision. So I'll get back to you, Scott, on how it works for me, and definitely want to use the workbook on there. But let's have you just kind of give us a little summary of the book, and then tell us how people can get in contact with you to learn more. Obviously, follow you on the podcast, but how do people get a hold of you and maybe hire you to come in and facilitate this?
Okay. Well, the book premise is it uses the analogy of a GPS app or a map app, where the business owner plugs in the destination into the company, and so the majority of the book is figuring out what that destination is, and that requires vision, understanding the season of life, season of the company, and the personal goals and values. All of those get into the calculations into what the company's destination is, and then communicating that as we talked about before. The book is divided into 3 parts: what you need to know about vision and clarity. It's the bare minimum. I try to leave out as much theory as possible, but you can't completely. But it's stuff that you need to know, not everything, but what you need to know. Then it gets into the 9 steps to discover your company's destination. And then the last part is plug in your destination, plug in your GPS destination into your company. And so the output, after going through all this, is there is a clear vision with a clear objective for the employees so that they can move forward.
Hmm.
So the employees are actually carrying out the vision much more than the business owner. So that's the goal, is to get the business owner to relax and get them where they want to go. A good place to reach me is businessownergps.com. That's a website. So businessownergps, all one word, .com. And probably the easiest way, if you need help, you're doing a mini retreat and you want me to help you a little bit, just schedule some time. There's a half an hour free call, just scheduling. There's a scheduling button on that website. You can actually access to purchase the book on that website, and to get some extra stuff. So
Perfect. All right. Well, that's right there. So, and I'll just remind people, buy the book. It's the Kindle version. It's got a hot link right in there. And I tried it out. So you click and it takes you right there. You can get schedule with Scott. You can download the workbook, the fillable PDF, all that right there. And the free 30-minute connection with you is that's very valuable. So people will make money by buying this book and
yes,
contacting
I'm
you.
sure they will. Thank you.
Well, with that, Scott, I'll just say thanks for joining me here on Amazon Live. And let's talk tech for a moment. Let's talk
Okay.
about stuff because
Oh, I love talking tech.
you recently upgraded your microphone from yeah, I'll say. I mean, you had a good microphone, but doing a podcast and Critical Ear, you wanted to upgrade.
Mhm.
So I'm using an Electro Voice RE20 microphone, which is a standard microphone in a lot of the radio broadcast world. But a tech demo. So I have a Logitech C920 camera, very good camera, has a built-in microphone, but that's what I'm using right now. And so you can tell it sounds hollow, sounds echoey. I mean, it's fine. It works for connecting with family. But if you really want to do some professional recording, you probably want to use something different like this RE20. And I'm using the Focusrite box, and we've got that all in the carousel to use the interface to translate this analog microphone into the digital signal for your computer. But Scott, you're using the Shure SM7B, which I
Yes.
also have with a cloud lifter to boost the signal. And I don't know if you were able to switch your microphone there, but you sound
Probably
great.
not set up at this point, because originally I had the Shure SM58s,
Oh yeah.
and,
Hmm.
and one of the criteria. So this always gets in what you're trying to do. So I have musical kids, and so I wanted the microphones to have dual purpose music and
Hmm.
podcasting and online. So that heavily influenced the type of microphones I got. Um, but there is a big difference between the Shure SM58 and the Shure
The
7B.
SM7B, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The 7B eliminates so many background noises. I was shocked. I didn't think it would do, because
Hmm.
the Shure 58 wasn't bad at all.
It's a
Um,
great microphone, and in fact, I believe they share the same capsule inside, but there's a transformer in that
yes.
58,
Mhm.
and it just adds a little bit of noise.
Yeah, it reduces the signal, and then you have to boost up the signal again. Whereas with the Shure 7B, it goes right into the amplifiers, and so you
Hmm.
can get a cleaner signal out. And and they have a special cone here that helps the voice and get the
Hmm.
subtleties of the voice in there. So
Yeah, I know it comes with a couple of different cones on there because on my SM7B I've got this fatter one, which is designed so when you're up
yep, the
close,
windscreen.
yeah, better windscreen for being up close and taking advantage of the proximity effect
Mhm.
with the microphone. But yeah, it's fun stuff just to have something. I don't know. I like the Scarlett. You use a Mackie, I think, as an interface between the
Yeah,
analog
they're
and the
direct
digital.
competitors. So
Yep. Uh-huh. But you need to translate that signal, and I think it's worth investing in something like the Mackie or the Focusrite because then you can use a variety of microphones. If you're using a dedicated USB microphone, and there's a lot of them out there, and they're fine. They sound good. I've had a Yeti Blue or a Blue Yeti microphone. My wife uses a Samson Q2U, which is a great microphone. It also has an analog, but you just want to have choice, I think.
yeah. Well, the one of the reasons why I got the Mackie is you can hook up an electric guitar to it and output it to a speaker. So dual purpose. Yeah.
Well,
Um,
there you go.
but you have, yours is specifically for the more of the broadcasting,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
you have an advantage in that area, because usually when you have dual purpose, you can get good, but sometimes when you specialize, um, yeah, you can get a little better. So
Well, I like this one because it is a dynamic mic. You have to be pretty close to it, so it doesn't pick up a lot of room noise, and that was really what it was designed for. And so they were doing concrete cutting and work out here the other day, and this microphone didn't pick it up. I could hear it just fine, but the microphone didn't hear it, so it didn't disrupt my voice, which was good, although it was just tough to hear. for me, but those that were listening didn't have problems. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, that's the advantage of a good mic is that it cleans up a lot of the background noises, and you don't have to worry about it. So.
yeah. Well, Scott, it's been fun, and
Time went fast.
yeah, I think we'll wind this one down. So hang out for just a moment. I'll end this one, but stay right there.
Okay.
So we have been talking with Scott R. Weaver, MBA. He's got an electrical engineering degree and then went into business, has led startup companies, has consulted with hundreds of companies, just came out with this new book, The Business Owner's GPS Series, Your Destination Define Your Company's Vision for Profits and Fulfillment. And I'll just say thank you to Scott for sharing today. And we're going to end this stream and to say to everybody, have a fabulous day. Cheers.